After the first Signalgate scandal, and I cannot believe we've had more than one Signalgate scandal, but Donald Trump made it incredibly clear he was not going to be firing any cabinet-level officials because he didn't want to give a win to the Atlantic. But it seems like that policy within the Trump administration has quickly changed with Pete Hegseth's second Signalgate scandal as reports swirl around the White House that it could be over for Pete. And that was made very clear by Donald Trump's demeanor when he was confronted with this Signalgate scandal at the White House Easter egg roll this morning. He was depressed. He was, not really fighting back in his response and kind of just crumbled at the end. We're going to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, there has been so much news today, and I think one of the most important stories is getting overlooked. So right before we get into Trump's response to Hegseth, I want to hear from Robert Garcia, who is on his way to El Salvador right now with a few other members of Congress, and I want to talk about what he had to say about holding Donald Trump accountable.
You're there with three fellow Democrats. Talk to us, just start why this mission here is so important, and not just about Mr. Albrego Garcia, but all the others who were deported, many would say, without due process.
Look, what's really important here that people need to understand is we have the President of the United States defying a 9-0 unanimous Supreme Court decision to bring Kilmore back home to the United States. This, in my opinion, is on its way to a constitutional crisis in this country. You cannot defy not just Supreme Court, but also lower courts. The Trump administration has also said that they sent Mr. Abrego Garcia here on accident. It is time to bring Kilmore home, and we're continuing the work of Senator Van Hollen. Look, we will not be the last members of the delegation to be here. There's other senators and members of Congress that will be here in El Salvador. But it's really important that we advocate for his release. He has been wrongly sent here, as have, by the way, hundreds of other individuals who are in our country in different status, asylum seekers, people that were on some type of permit, some type of student visas we know are being deported across the country as well to other places. And so this is a moment for us to stand for our values and for due process in this country. We also know it's not just about Kilmer. There's a young man named Avery down here, 19 years old, young gay man, hairdresser, seeking asylum, got sent here. We have no proof of life yet of how he's doing. So we have a lot of work to do. We're on our way actually to the embassy to get a classified briefing in just about an hour.
You're certainly right to highlight it's more than just this one case that's gotten so much attention. You mentioned how the Trump administration seems to be in defiance, or at least delay, bordering on defiance of a Supreme Court ruling. But they've also made the claim that they simply, we don't have any jurisdiction anymore. He's in El Salvadorian custody. Tell us what you make of that argument and what you'll say to the El Salvadorian officials you'll see later today.
Well, we know that there is no question that if Donald Trump, the president, wants to have Kilmore back home, he would be back home. He, of course, has a very strong relationship with the president of El Salvador, and they are working together on this. The president of the United States sent Kilmore here by accident. The courts have said he needs to return, and the president needs to act. We're here to continue that pressure on the Trump administration and also to build support here in El Salvador for Kilmer's release.
There is obviously so much news happening today that this story might get overlooked. And so I wanted to make sure that we spotlighted the members of Congress who are working to hold Donald Trump accountable and make sure that Albrego Garcia gets home safely, that he gets the due process that he deserves. And I am so proud to see Democrats stepping up and showing what real leadership looks like. We have talked about so much over the past couple of days, those who think that maybe this is just a distraction or it's an issue that we're going to lose on. It doesn't matter. These are human rights that are being violated. Our Constitution is being crapped on by Donald Trump. It is the same thing we are seeing with Pete Hegseth right now. Are we just going to give up on that because Donald Trump might not want to fire him, which actually I think he does? No, people are in danger because of these decisions. Let's make that clear. Let's hold them accountable. And Donald Trump was held accountable when he was confronted about Pete Hegseth in this clip right here.
Pete's doing a great job. Everybody's happy with him. We have the highest recruitment numbers I think we've had in 28 years. No, he's doing a great job. It's just fake news. They just bring up stories. I guess it sounds like disgruntled employees. He was put there to get rid of a lot of bad people, and that's what he's doing. So you don't always have friends when you do that.
Should he stop using the app?
Do you remain confident in Hegseth? Do you remain confident in Hegseth?
Oh, total.
President Trump.
Why do you even ask a question like that? We have recruitments that's at an all-time high. The spirit in the armed forces is fantastic. No, great confidence.
President Trump, you saw your message to the Secretary Hegseth using Signal to discuss those military plans.
Are you bringing up Signal again? I thought they gave that up 2 weeks ago.
There was a new report this weekend that he used it in a separate chat that included some family members.
It's all just the same old stuff from the media. That's an old one. Try finding something new.
Sir, your message.
So there's a couple things that I want to unpack with this. The first is Trump is just so sad there. He's just like, yeah, it's fake news. We're doing okay. Whatever. He just knows. He knows that it's over for Pete Hegseth. He knows that he has to fire him at this point. But I love that they continue to return to this narrative that they're trying to push. This is their argument, that it's these woke guys inside the Department of Defense. It's people who are gunning for Hegseth when it's his own aides. It's the people he brought in. It's the people who were closest to him who observed what an absolute disaster he was. And even in their resignations, they made clear they were doing so because they thought Pete Hegseth was embarrassing Trump, that he was getting in the way of the administration. So these are still Trump loyalists who are speaking out. That's how bad things are with Pete Hegseth. And it seems like Trump really at that point seems to know it. And everybody else should. This has been obvious for so long. Of course, there was more than one Signal chat. And of course, our national security is compromised by Pete Hegseth. That is exactly what Tommy Vitor had to say on Fox. And Fox didn't like it too much that he did.
The Democrats didn't do enough to own DEI and immigration, but now also calling for a shadow government. I mean, is this who you want as the face spokesman for the party right now?
Well, a shadow government doesn't mean a scary government. I think it means the British version where you have like a person in waiting for all the senior cabinet positions going forward. But regarding DEI, let me tell you who would not have put classified information about the Houthi bombing campaign in the Signal group chat. Siku Brown, who was the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff until Pete Hegseth fired him. America doesn't have a DEI problem right now. We have a competency problem because we have a Fox News weekend anchor named Pete Hegseth, who you tell me may or may not have been tipsy at the time he was sending around this classified information, breaking all the rules, putting at risk service members, and making terrible decisions while Mike Waltz, the national security advisor,
I just heard a lot of deflection over Tim Waltz. I mean, what does that have anything to do with Tim Waltz saying that there should be more DEI, that there should be more immigration, that there should be a shadow government? I mean, that sounds to me like you don't have an answer to my question and want to deflect. Clay.
My answer to your question is that the
Clay,
black chairman of the Joint Chiefs would not have made the mistakes that Pete Hegseth made.
Okay, well, let me respond to Tommy there. First of all, Tommy, I mean, you're going to try to argue that Pete Hegseth is drinking. I mean, that's completely unsubstantiated,
you tell me, Clay.
Absurd,
you tell
and
me.
Untrue.
I don't know.
It's untrue. I mean, it's a ridiculous accusation. Let me tell you what the previous administration did. They had 13 people killed in Afghanistan. Nobody was held accountable for that at all. We had Lloyd Austin, who was our defense secretary, vanish in critical condition in the hospital, and the Biden administration didn't even know about it. We got more coverage of what I will admit was a ham-handed and screwed up addition of a media member onto a group chat than we did 13 dead soldiers in Afghanistan and a defense secretary that went AWOL, and his number two was actually on vacation in the Caribbean, if I remember correctly, and didn't even know why she was in charge. So to me, that is far more significant of a story there.
It sounds like the sort of takeaway from this conversation is that, Democrats still don't have, anything new that they want to talk about in terms of what their party wants to stand for.
Everybody knows that. No Democrat wants to talk about it.
And who's going to lead it in the future. Got to go, guys. We have some breaking news to get to.
If you want to have a case race,
thanks for having you.
Me, Pete
we'll have you back
Hegseth,
again
we'll go against
soon.
the world, man. We'll have a great time.
Thanks, guys.
What is crazy about all of this, and there's a lot that's crazy about all of this, but what we're hearing from the Pentagon right now, and what we're hearing from those officials who quit or were fired, is that there are more bombshells still to come out. So is it a ridiculous question to ask if Pete Hegseth might have had a couple of sodas maybe a couple of GNTs on the job? No, I don't think so. I think that's a completely reasonable question that needs to be asked, especially as Republicans don't want to respond to this. They don't want to talk about it, even though, the security of private government information was such a big topic for them not so long ago. It was all they wanted to talk about. Jim McGovern brought that up right here.
We've heard for years from the other side about the importance of safeguarding classified information and the need to use secure channels. And last week we found out that Trump's entire national security team is just casually planning military operations on unsecured group threads that anyone could have access to. In fact, the Pentagon said Signal, the app they used, is vulnerable to hacking by our adversaries. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, our Vice President, and the President's Chief of Staff, our CIA and NSA directors, all of them swapping classified battle plans like school kids sending memes. This is nuts. I mean, based on public comments, one of the participants in Signalgate had the text going to his unattended personal phone back at home because he was in Moscow. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And let me just lay out for people, this isn't just stupid, it's dangerous. 30 minutes before planes took off, our top government officials were putting out onto the internet details about their mission. Who was listening? We have no idea. Russia was probably listening. China was probably listening. Iran was listening. I'm sure tapping unsecured phones of our national security advisors is one of their top priorities. Doing this might have given our enemies a chance to position anti-aircraft resources or given a heads up to the targets that they should leave where they are because U.S. planes are on the way. They put the entire mission in jeopardy, and they put the lives of our troops in danger. We also know that apparently this wasn't the first time classified information was sent via unofficial channels. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that National Security Advisor Mike Waltz created and hosted several other sensitive national security conversations on Signal, including separate threads on how to broker peace between Russia and Ukraine. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is not a game, and there's still so much that we don't know. We need a full investigation to understand the scope of damage done and if there are other national security communications happening on unsecured channels. Those responsible must be held accountable, and Hegseth should resign immediately. Immediately.
The hypocrisy is staggering, but always expected. What else would we think Republicans would do? Stay honest? Right? Like, this is what they do. This is no surprise. This, though, is an opportunity once again to make the biggest moment out of this possible. The people are in danger. They talked about the chaos of the Trump administration. The first one is being mean tweets. Those mean tweets, that's what the liberals got mad about. No, we're mad about exposed military information. How our national security is compromised. That is chaos that puts people in harm's way, and it needs to be called out. We're certainly going to be doing so on this show, and if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.